Welcome to the Liberated Feminine Podcast. I'm Lucy Lampy, your host, and in this episode, we're exploring 3 ways self-pleasure builds nervous system resilience. But before we dive in, I want to mention that this episode is sponsored by Oshuga, strengthening your nervous system in the most enjoyable way possible. O stands for orgasm, of course, and Shuga comes from sugar, meaning adding a little sweetness to your life. And if you want to learn how to combine self-pleasure with toys for even deeper nervous system benefits, make sure you stay till the end. Conscious self-pleasure in the way that I teach it and then in the way that I practice it and the way that I share in my courses is not just getting off. All right, it's not just having the climax to take the edge off. I am all for you having as many big O's as you can possibly handle. And let's see how much deeper we can take this, okay? How much juicier can your entire life get through how you touch yourself? And there is a big difference between just having a climax and getting a dopamine hit. That versus feeling your entire being and your channel of consciousness open, wide open, and feeling this flood, but not in an overwhelming way, in a very like, oh my God, yes, take over everything kind of feeling of pure loving consciousness, of pure power. And that is not something that we're going to do if we're just taking a quick moment to get off, to take the edge off because we're stressed. However, again, I am not against that. It has its time and its place. In this episode, though, this concept is all about nervous system, not just healing, but resilience, thriving. What we want is to expand your capacity for pleasure, for life, for the aliveness that you are hungry for, baby girl. Okay, so number one, the first point here is it trains your body to hold more sensation and without collapsing or dissociating. So once upon a time, before you were told, whether verbally or just in their reaction by others, that your expression is too much, that what you want is too much, that you shouldn't want so much. You should just be happy with what you've got. Yes, be content, but also keep wanting, keep desiring, keep expanding your vision for your life. Before you learned that it was, that you were too intense, that you were too activating, that you were too vulnerable, self-pleasure had the potential to be one of those spaces where you could consciously choose intensity instead of bracing against it. So now you get to do that. You get to consciously choose intensity in your self-pleasure practice. You get to choose softness. You get to choose openness. You get to choose easefulness and receiving, surrendering instead of bracing. Because I don't know about you, but walking around in my life bracing, waiting for the other shoe to drop, waiting for something to go sideways, waiting for something to fall apart is just not a way to live. It's a way to survive, and we're not knocking surviving because, again, hey, we're surviving. But you are here to do more than just survive, all right? You are here to truly thrive, and much of that really relies on your nervous system. And when you are in a space of conscious self-pleasure and you are training your body to hold more sensation, for example, here is one way that can look. So let's say that you're used to completely stopping stimulation after you come. So in this practice, what you would do is instead of stopping, you stay with it. You stay with the sensation. Maybe you dial down the intensity because you're already, past the point of no return. You've gotten that big release. But you use that as a jumping off point to expanding this capacity more mindfully. And so you stay with the sensation, you keep the stimulation going, but you soften it. You meet yourself at the threshold of your capacity for pleasure, and you challenge it. Just stay with me a little bit longer. Stay with me. Stay in the feeling. Stay in the sensation. Stay in the pleasure. Stay in the openness. Stay in the surrender. Stay in the bigness of the feeling, in the sensitivity. And that is one way that you literally, physiologically expand your capacity to feel more pleasure. Now, yes, you can absolutely practice expanding your capacity for feeling in general by feeling your grief, feeling your rage, feeling your pain. There are two sides of the same coin. That is one end of the spectrum of this experience. And on this end of the spectrum, we have the pleasure. We have the intensity of pleasure, that if you shy away from intensity of feeling, period, whatever it may be, dense emotions, heavy emotions, you're going to also have a hard time connecting with your pleasure in the ways that you feel this dam wanting to burst open, but you just can't quite let it. So I do want to inject that one piece as well. That part of building that resilience or that capacity for your pleasure and your nervous system resilience is also allowing yourself to feel the dense emotions that are not so pleasurable. And then in your pleasure practice, you will find that more of that energy, that bandwidth that would otherwise be taken up emotionally trying to manage and fit in a certain box and be a nice, neat, good little girl, none of that is eating up, siphoning your energy anymore. And that frees that energy up to be free-flowing eros, free-flowing aliveness through your body. Now, a second way that self-pleasure helps build nervous system resilience is it anchors safety in the body through self-generated oxytocin, dopamine, and warmth. All right, now hear me out on this. Okay, I have had so many conversations with women throughout the years that they say, well, if I'm self-pleasuring all the time, doesn't that make my partner irrelevant? Or my partner gets jealous whenever I talk about self-pleasuring because he feels threatened. Number one, babe, that's your partner's insecurities. All right. Number two, your self-pleasure only adds to your experiences with your partner. If you are doing it in this way, if you're doing it as a way to escape the deeper intimacy that you might be afraid of being too vulnerable, being too exposed to have with a partner, then that's a different story. That's not what this video is for. We'll maybe go there another time, but for the purpose of this, building your nervous system resilience, this is about increasing your ability to tap in. And when you have this skill set, because it's really what it is, when you have this skill set of connecting with the source of your pleasure, your erotic aliveness, your turn on, your arousal, your desire, your longing, okay, without being dependent on your partner turning it on for you, that is fucking powerful. All right, you are no longer outsourcing your ability to have that experience to not just your partner, but to anybody. This is self-sourcing from in the most intimate way, because you are not just touching your pussy, okay? You are touching your power. And you are remembering that this literally is all you, all within you, all along. And when you're with your partner, they activate that, they amplify that in a way that is unique to partnered experiences. But they are not the source of it. They are not the ones that make you turn on. Notice that if you are really turned off in life in general, for the most part, many people will be like this, you won't feel your erotic, your sexual turn on either. If you're feeling like, man, I'm just like failing at life, I suck at life right now, everything is falling apart, the chances are that your turn on for something more explicit in bed is not really going to be there. It's also going to be blah, or it will be in hyperdrive to kind of overcompensate for what you're not feeling in your life. But in this context, this sense of, I'm waiting for someone else to turn me on, it has a learned helplessness about it. Helplessness. There we go. And so what we are retraining our nervous systems in the self-pleasure practice to do is to experience and remember the safety in your own body and to also remember that you are the source of your own turn on, and you are actually building these neural pathways in your brain that are associating your touch, your own touch, which is available to you at all times, to safety and to turn on. And over time, as you continue this practice in this way, you'll notice that it takes less time, less running through the mental stories and the mental gymnastics to experience turn on and arousal when you're touching yourself. And again, when you're with a partner that you also feel that resonant, that safety with. It's not going to be as much of a whole process of just getting aroused enough to be able to open to intercourse or whatever that may look like for you. A little personal anecdote here. I've shared with many of you who were a part of either my recent pleasure challenge or my dark feminine challenge, how before I started my self-pleasure practice many years ago now, oh my God, it would take me like 45 minutes, 60 minutes to just get to a climax. And then when I finally would, right, I would feel like a little sneeze. And like, that's it. That's all I get. That's all that my body, my nervous system had the capacity to really feel, was this little bloop of an O, and then I'd be done. All that workup, all that buildup, all that effort, and for what? For that. And then I didn't even feel a full release, but it always felt like, God, there's so much more that wanted to just, again, like a dam wanting to burst open, but I just couldn't knock down the wall. And this went on for so many years. And behind that was a lot of course, internalized shame, guilt, repression of not just my sexual energy, but also my emotions, my rage, my grief. And as I started to do this practice, it didn't take long. Did not take long. Of course, I'm someone, with my Capricorn Sun energy, it was like, I'm doing this every day. I'm making this my devotional practice of love. And so I did. In the very first year that I did this practice, I did my self-pleasure practice every single day except for twice that year. And it happened to be 2 extra first day of my bleed that was bleeding extra heavy. That I didn't do it. But even self-pleasuring through my bleed was a whole new thing. It felt really edgy for me. It felt really like, oh, this is messy. I don't know. And just getting over myself and really seeing the sacredness and the beauty and the power of my own menstrual blood. So this practice will take you through all kinds of twists and turns. But with this, establishing safety in my body through my own touch, I was able to begin softening and opening and experiencing all different kinds of climaxes. So it wasn't just the external, right, stimulation, the external clitoral stimulation, but internal, and the G-spot, A-spot, cervix, other parts of my body, and opened up a whole new world. And when I tell you that this comes down to working with your nervous system, it's not just another box that you're ticking of self-care practices. This literally has the potential to change your life, and I do not say that lightly. I don't say that lightly. It changed my life. Because not only did it help me to establish that safety in my body, but it helped me to establish safety and a feeling of coherence with life, with spirit, with my journey, with my intuition. It brought all of those things online, like together, again, coherence. And unlike any other practice that I've done, and I've done so many different things, healing modalities and everything throughout the years, and they all feed into this, like this is like the crux of what has literally transformed my life, okay? And perhaps in another video, if you want to hear more on this, let me know. But the ways that a self-pleasure practice done in this way can transform your finances, your business, your creativity, entrepreneurship, things like that. Because I think we have more of an association with how it can transform our relationships and our self-love, but it touches everything. Hey sis, before we continue with this episode, I want to introduce to you Oshuga. Oshuga is a women-focused intimate wellness brand, and I have personally been using their Cuddly Bird for about 6 years now, and it is my absolute favorite. Now, as you can imagine, I have over the years received so many different toys from so many different companies, and the Cuddly Bird specifically has been, it continues to be the main toy that I use if I go electronic. If I'm not playing acoustic and I'm going electronic, you can bet 99% of the time it's going to be that Cuddly Bird, and the other percent of the time that is now growing, it's either going to be these new products that I am now falling in love with, the Kiss and the Arrows, which I am going to show you here in just a moment. And all of the products are designed from the female perspective based on what women truly enjoy in their sexual experiences. Their mission is not only to deliver momentary pleasure, but to help women feel more confident, healthier, and enjoy a higher quality of life. And that is so on brand with what I am here to do. Now, first we have the Cuddly Bird, which is a Red Dot Award-winning clitoral suction toy. Oh my God, and so much more. I can't describe it. You got to try it. It delivers stimulation ranging from gentle to intense. And this choice you can't miss with this. You can't go wrong. Eros is a thrusting toy that mimics the rhythm of bodies colliding and delivers intense, mind-blowing orgasms. So if you want to go a little more intense, you're building that nervous system capacity for pleasure and intensity, this is for you. And then we have Kiss, a clitoral tapping and heated vibrator that recreates the warmth, wetness, and softness of oral. So yum! And also, their Black Friday promotion is entering its final countdown. So for anyone who purchases through the link in the show notes or uses my discount code, you will receive an extra clitoris keychain as a free gift. How cute. All right, so don't miss out on this promotion and check out the link in the show notes. All right, now back to the show. Now, the third way that self-pleasure builds nervous system resilience is by transforming shame into power. By creating new neural associations with your own body. Now, pleasure is inherently rebellious, an act of rebellion for anyone who was taught that touching yourself was wrong, sinful, bad, dirty, messy, religious programming, good girl programming, fear-based sexual shame, fear-based body stuff. Okay, this is inherently rebellious for that. Now, we don't want to just come from a, well, fuck you system attitude, because that's also really, it feels good for a little bit, right? Let's be real. It's part of the arc. It's part of the heroine's journey, the hero's journey. But ultimately, we want to be doing this from a place of just freedom. We want to be liberated to just enjoy our own bodies, independent of anyone else. And so every self-pleasure ritual rewires something. For example, this belief right here. My body isn't dangerous. My desire isn't sinful. My pleasure isn't a luxury. It's my life force. And every single time you show up to this practice, you are reinforcing that in your body, whether you're speaking these affirmations or not. And that reclamation builds a deeper kind of resilience in your nervous system and in yourself. A deeper trust in yourself. You begin to connect with your intuition in really unprecedentedly powerful ways. And that reclamation, it's the resilience to be seen, okay? To speak your truth, to not collapse under uncomfortable, tense conversation when you so badly want to. So when you release shame, in this very intimate part of your life, in this very intimate way, you are releasing shame across the board. You're releasing shame from your body, period. And think about all the ways that shame can live in the body. What are all these ways? Shame around, oh God, am I a good enough mom, a good enough daughter? I'm too feral, I'm too wild, I'm too much. Any possible thing that we may carry shame about, maybe past choices, mistakes that we think, oh my God, that just really ruined me, or I ruined someone else. Anywhere that shame lives, when you're in your self-pleasure practice done in this way, it is not just dissolving it, but alchemizing it. So you are reclaiming power through it. You are alchemizing that shame into power. And so this is also directly tied into asking for what you want, to stop performing, to stop shrinking back. Stop shrinking back, for goodness sake. Pleasure is a nervous system training ground for sovereignty. Sovereignty, there we go. I'm skipping all over my words now. I have so many thoughts coming in that I want to say about this. It is a training ground for your sovereignty. And every time that you choose to show up for this practice and say, I choose to open, despite what the world is screaming at me and what other people say that I should be feeling about myself or about my body, about my pleasure, about my choices, I choose to open. I choose to soften. I choose to feel. I choose to receive, to release, to surrender. And your life will begin opening up to you in ways that you could not imagine. That ease, the easefulness, the peace, the inspiration that you want to be moving through life with lives in your pulsing. Okay? I'm serious. I know I'm laughing because it sounds so out there, but it lives in your womb space. And you just got to remember that power. You got to connect with it. And I know that I run the risk of sounding super cliche and cheesy with this, but you know what? I don't care. I do not care. No me da un pepino. No me importa un pepino. Because I have experienced the power of this myself. And I live it day in and day out. And this is why I teach this stuff, because, well, I guess my soul, before coming into this life, said, yeah, I volunteer. I'll do it. And then when it came time to really go through the curriculum, I was like, oh shit, this is a little bit more intense than I thought. But alas, here we are. And I am a huge advocate for using pleasure to expand consciousness. And of course, not at the expense of turning a blind eye to your pain, but it doesn't all have to be pain, y'all. Your healing doesn't have to all be so serious and so uncomfortable and so much suffering, because as I think it was Tony Robbins said, pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. And if you're going to be doing all this deep healing work and all this nervous system healing and all these, learning how to hold the tension in uncomfortable conversations, etc., you might as well also give yourself permission and space to soften into the pleasurable aspects of this. And you might just find, like I did, that this part of it is actually way more challenging and vulnerable than feeling your pain. Because pain is relatable, right? It's like pain, I'm sorry you're going through that thing. But when you're being seen, maybe not during your pleasure practice, but being seen in your radiance and in your joy in general can be so much more vulnerable. Because it might evoke this sense of, well, who does she think she is to just be feeling so damn good all the time? Who does she think she is? Like that, she's so privileged. Yeah, I'm fucking privileged. I get to live in this body. I get to touch, I get to feel, I get to experience and taste and see and smell and do all these, have this full human experience. So fully own that and do not shrink back. So there's a lot more that we could go on about here, and this is one of my, I like to keep the solo podcast a little bit shorter, but man, when I get started on these things, I can keep going, and I will just stand on this soapbox all day. So I will cut this off here. And for more on building nervous system resilience through your pleasure, through your voice, through your movement, and through your breath, check out my upcoming course that will be launching in January 2025, Wild Body Method. This is a culmination of my work during over the past decade plus. of doing these practices myself, of teaching them, of guiding other women, and seeing them experience their biggest breakthroughs through their pleasure practice and through their wild bodies. So check that out in the link below. And as a special companion for this kind of practice, and a perfect companion for this practice is the Oshuga line of products. My personal favorite is the Cuddly Bird. I've been using it for years. So whenever I do use something that is electronic, it tends to be the Cuddly Bird. So I think they're running low on stock right now. So you might want to get yours ASAP if you're watching this video at the time of the recording. And as always, thank you for tuning in. And here's to liberating your wild feminine heart.